Hello and welcome to the Dev Kit. My name is Dev and this is today's kit. It is the AVS from Retro USB. This is a Nintendo replacement. It's a replacement unit for your original NES. Just to compare, here is my original NES. It's actually like about the same size as the box. There are, I guess, 5 ways? No, I guess 6. 6 ways to play your NES on an HDMI TV. Way 1. Take your NES. You take, where is it? Here we go. These ports right here. Plug them into the back of your HD TV and enjoy all of the lag that provides. It's not a very good solution. I guess alternatively you could also run your RF switch box through this, but that's also still not a great solution. Basically, any kind of SD solution is not going to be good. It's going to introduce a lot of lag and a lot of pixel blur into your system. Option 2, you can emulate on the PC. That's a pretty good option, but the problem with emulation is that it's not like a picture perfect or a sound perfect experience. It can be. There are some emulators that are really, really good, and if you just run like a USB NES controller, you can get a pretty accurate experience, but it's not quite the same thing as using the original hardware. A side option to emulation is getting something like the Retron, because Retrons are basically just PCs that emulate cartridges when you plug the cartridge in. It's not actually a faithful recreation of the NES hardware or of the SNES hardware or whatever other systems you happen to get. It is an emulation station, which is why they're relatively cheap. Another option is to buy yourself an upscaler, some kind of device that'll convert the signal that comes out of a native NES and turn it into an HDMI signal. These have varying degrees of accuracy. They often introduce pixel blur, and they often introduce lag. To get a really good one, it's going to cost you a lot of money. And then we come to the final 3 options that I was considering. Option 1 was to mod my NES to output HDMI. What it does is they solder in an HDMI board, and then they put the HDMI out somewhere around here. And you can just plug it in, and then there you go. You have your HDMI out. There is, in fact, a group of guys that do this online, and in fact, I got them to do my N64. Here's my N64. It's right here. This is my childhood N64. You look on the back. You'll see right there, there's a mini HDMI port. They put that in there. So that makes the system output HDMI natively. They do an NES variant of this. Another option is the NT Mini by Analog. Now Analog made this. This is their Super NT. This is basically a complete Super Nintendo, but it outputs HDMI. No lag, pixel perfect. It's the ultimate Super Nintendo solution. They make the NT Mini, which is an NES variant. And then finally you have the AVS, which is another hardware solution. So why did I choose the AVS over those other 2 options? Well, first of all, price point. This thing cost me about $185 US. The NT Mini cost about $450 US. And the mod alone for this cost $185 US, and that's just to get the physical mod. The actual price of the install services is probably going to be about $150 at least. Those guys over there, they did the N64 one, they do this one, they do Game Boy Advance ones now that look really cool, but they are expensive. And I presume it's because they do everything themselves, They make the parts, they do the installs. Like, it's an expensive business. I can see why they're making a killing over there, but it is just wildly expensive, and in some cases a bit too much for me. Additionally, when you're modding old hardware, there's always the chance that this can fail. This is an old NES. The only reason I got my N64 done is because, as of recording, that is quite literally the only option if you want to get an N64 game on authentic hardware outputting HDMI. Copycat systems like this, they're not being built for the N64. So for a while, I had definitely considered getting this thing modded until I started looking into these recreations. So, alright, modding the old NES cost way too much money, and it was somewhat unreliable because, hardware this old sometimes just dies. That's just how it is. So why did I choose the AVS over the NT Mini from Analog? especially since I've bought a lot of Analog's other products and I really do like them. Well, again, firstly, it's an issue of price. This is $185, Analog's is $450. That's a pretty big difference. And with Analog, you do get what you pay for. It is purely authentic stuff inside of that machine. It's a titanium build. It's solid. It's reliable. It's all around probably the superior product to this, but it comes at that price. And most importantly, Analog is one of those companies that when they stop making a product, they stop making a product. The NT Mini has been gone now for at least a year, and when asked, they said they're just not bringing it back. So it ended up just being down to the AVS, which still is being manufactured and sold. So let's see what this thing is like. Let's open it up. Here we go. Yeah. Oh. Come on. It goes like this. Yeah, that's the top of the box. I've been showing you the bottom of the box this whole time. Play your NES cards in amazing HD. Come on. Come out. There we go. Look at those authentic power and reset buttons. They feel like NES, too. Look at that. Let's get it out of the box. So there it is. It's got built-in 4 players, so you don't have to buy a multi-tap. That's quite nice. Power and reset could basically have been pulled off of an NES. Like, hold on a minute. No, it's a little bit different, but it's the same font and the same size. Yeah, it's not quite the same. Here, can you see that? With those two? Not really, yeah. Okay. Just got the inside of it, guys. You've got 2 slots. Famicom games, right here. And then NES games, in there. It actually slides in old style. Like VCR style, just like this guy. It slides in right there, and then you close it down. On the back, you've got HDMI out, USB for power, and I think this is the NES's expansion port. Hold on, let me confirm that. I've got the NES right here. Underneath this, isn't it? Oh, this doesn't have anything down there. Huh. Does this come off? Nope, I guess just in later models of the NES, they just stopped putting stuff down there, huh? Alright. Well, I think it's the expansion port. In the rest of the box, we've got HDMI cable, probably a 3-footer. USB cable for power. There's a little box here. What's in here? Oh, this is going to be the adapter. Yeah, one of these doohickeys. It almost looks like a cell phone thing. You plug the USB in there, you got your power. Okay, fair enough. A little booklet. The AVS booklet. Yeah, I'll let you pause and look at this stuff. Check that out. Look at that. It's even got a note page, just like old NES booklets. That's pretty cool. So let's see how this thing runs. So here I am playing MC Kids. Yes, I know. It's just the game that I had in the NES, and I was too lazy to put another one in. But this is playing on the AVS. And this is exactly how it comes out. This is recorded from the HDMI out of the AVS. It is pixel perfect NES goodness. The sound is spot on, the graphics are spot on. This is about as good as it gets when it comes to playing your NES games on an HD TV. I'll pull up a split screen here in a second. The AVS has a number of other built-in options other than just playing the game. There's a scoreboard, which requires online that I don't have set up. There's the options menu, where you have the video mode, seems pretty obvious, PAL or NTSC. The pixel aspect ratio allows you to choose basically how wide the output is. The vertical border allows you to choose basically how tall the output is. You can have scan lines off for that pixel perfect emulation quality, or you can turn on scan lines if you want it to look a little bit more like a CRT. Left side hide is quite interesting. The left side on the NES always outputted a bunch of junk data, just because of the way TVs were back in the day. It was actually cut off by the side of the TV. But if you play an NES on a modern TV, or you emulate or whatever, you can see all that junk data. So if for some reason you want that left intact, here it is. And here's McKids with the left side showing, and as you can see, it's a little bit strange. You can see 1 pixel of the actual level, then a blue bar, and then the main play area. What's weird is that even though the level actually appears in that 1 pixel width, sprites don't. Like, watch the enemy snail here. Watch it crawl through. It should be visible in that 1 pixel area, but it's not. I don't know, man. The NES is strange. Extra sprites, I think, refers to the fact that sometimes if you put too many sprites on screen on the NES, they would start to flicker and fade in and out when they were on the same horizontal line. Because basically the NES just couldn't output that much stuff. You can turn that on and off as well. As for EXP volume, I don't know, man. I don't know. There's also an input options screen where you can remap the buttons if you ever wanted to do that. I know there are some old games that have really terrible button mappings. Maybe you could just change it up here. And last but not least, there's a Game Genie built in as well. Well, there we have it, my friends. That is Retro USB's AVS. Retro USB is more known for making indie games on the NES, and they actually release physical carts of them, which is pretty cool. But this, in my opinion, is their crowning achievement. And it certainly fills that market niche for when Analog's NT Mini got discontinued. So I'm quite happy with it overall. Anyway, that's the end. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys later. I love you.